Hi everyone, my name is Monique.
And I'm Naveen from Before You Play.
And welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Board Games, where we pretty much just talk about a few games that we've been playing and how we feel about them.
Yes, we have 5 games that we're going to be talking about today. And the theme or the order as to how we're going to be talking about them is from biggest box down to the smallest.
Right. And, in general, I think the games we're going to be talking about are more on the lighter side or family weight, because lately, honestly, we haven't had much time to review anything.
The heavier ones, yeah.
Yeah, we've had sort of a lot going on busy-wise in our personal lives, but we do hope to get going with reviews again soon.
Sure.
So let's just go ahead and get straight into the games. Now, we do want to mention that all of the titles that we're going to be featuring today were sent to us as review copies from the publishers. All right, biggest box.
Biggest box. Well, I only brought the lid for this because the box
very large.
would be clunky. This is the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition.
Yes.
Now, Monique and I have actually reviewed the Castles of Burgundy. We did a playthrough and review of the regular Castles of Burgundy before this special edition came out.
Right.
We also gave our thoughts on the prototype of this particular one when it was on GameFound from Awakened Realms, and then now we actually have a copy of this.
Yes.
And so we're going to kind of give you our thoughts on that.
Right. We're not going to be talking too much about how we feel about the gameplay, because this is a game that we both have spoken about a lot. Like Naveen was mentioning, we've already done a full playthrough of it, and we're basically just going to be focusing on the special edition that Awakened Realms released, I believe, last year. We figured now would be a good time to talk about it because there's actually a reprint on GameFound going on right now. So for anybody who missed the last campaign and were really interested in the special edition, then it is available on GameFound. So we have played every edition of Castles of Burgundy. The one that we have in our collection, as some of you know, is the oldest version that's all brown. And we've also played with the anniversary edition that came out after that. We played with the prototype for this, and now this version, which actually we were able to play in its full glory. So we have the version with the castle minis, the upgraded terrain tiles, the upgraded acrylic hexes, and basically everything that came with the GameFound campaign. Now, the things that I really, really like about this version, besides the fact that it's big and glorious, is the fact that it came with pretty much all the expansions. I don't quite remember now if it's missing any, but it definitely came with the team game and some of the expansions that we did not own in our collection.
And I think it also comes with a solo mode, which none of us have played, but we have heard that it is good from other people.
Yeah, and the Vineyard expansion, which was a new expansion that was for the special edition. So if anybody out there is really looking into getting into Castles of Burgundy and you don't mind sort of the bigger setup, and the higher price point, of course, then this is sort of like the all-in experience. You know, it is beautiful. They did a really, really good job with the component quality. Even without the upgraded acrylic hexes, the standard punch board tiles that come with the game are great. They're much better than any of the editions of Castles of Burgundy that we have played with in the past.
Yeah, it would have to be. With something like this, this is really, really big. Now, for me, I do appreciate something like this, but I am an old-timely, homely kind of guy. Like I actually prefer condensed boxes, smaller boxes, and easier utility because it actually gets it to the table a lot faster for me. Sometimes when I get a huge box like this, it's almost like it's a bear just to get it set up and be like, okay, we're gonna get started on the game. So for me, it's a fine addition. It's very, very nice, but I think I'm gonna be sticking to pulling that one off the shelf, the other one.
Yeah, and I think that is the interesting sort of debate here, right? There are different communities or populations of people that are sort of at odds in terms of this sort of game.
Grandiose.
Grandiosity, is that a word?
I don't know.
There are people who are hardcore Eurogamers, and Eurogamers, you just need chits and cubes. Like a lot of times, Eurogamers are okay with cubes, versus people who really enjoy playing games with miniatures, or even any of the other games that Awakened Realms, as an example, puts out, because they create really, really, really nice miniatures. And this one is actually, with no exception. The miniatures that come in Castles of Burgundy are beautiful. Even the ones that just come with, I believe the regular box has the tokens for like the shipping track and the score tracker, but you can also get the upgraded castle tiles, which, just hearing from what Naveen said right now, we definitely did not play with too much. We basically played with it once, and then we were like, it's even more of a step to bring out those castle minis.
It is.
If you are a gamer who really, really enjoys that type of experience, miniatures and just deluxified components really add to your experience, then this is absolutely something that you should look into. Gamers such as Naveen, who are Eurogamers through and through, or maybe even people who have been gaming for a long time and are used to sort of the older style style of games where
bare bones, I guess.
yeah, bare
kinda way.
bones.
Yeah.
We almost didn't have much color, in the older games. This might be a little bit too much. Now, if you caught our video where we were discussing a lot of the issues that we had with the prototype, they did make a lot of changes that a lot of people were concerned about. The dice that we discussed are way easier to read. I don't have a problem with them in this version. They also changed the coloring for the I forgot what they're called. They're the public goal tiles that everybody sort of races for. In the prototype, they had sort of like inverted colors that was very confusing, and they all made it more consistent. So it's a lot easier to read. So anyway, that is the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. It is absolutely gorgeous, but definitely deluxeified. And again, if you're interested in something like this, it is currently on GameFound for their reprint campaign. There you go. All right, next up we have a game from the King of Tokyo universe. It is another game from Richard Garfield, and it is called King of Monster Island, published by Aiello. So, if you're familiar with King of Tokyo, this game features a lot of the same mechanics, except instead of a sort of a competitive battler game, you have a fully cooperative game where players are working together in order to defeat a boss that's on an island. So, the game comes with 3 different bosses, and each boss has 2 different levels of difficulty, and their goal is to try to construct 3 pylons on this island with their minions in order to form a multi-dimensional
Portal. They're trying to build a portal to destroy Earth or wherever.
Yeah.
Maybe New York. Who knows?
There you go.
Tokyo. So this one, like Monique said, is fully cooperative.
Yes.
And it kind of borrows a mechanism very similar to the Loop, where you drop dice into the volcano and it's going to kind of refract them into different zones.
Yeah,
And then
right.
the monster is going to take actions depending on how the dice kind of disperse and how the minions disperse in the game.
Yeah, so the way that the game works is each player's turn is divided into 2 phases now. You have the boss phase and then your player turn. And the boss phase is very procedural. You're going to do things such as the boss may attack, depending on how strong they are. And then, like Devine said, you'll toss those dice into the volcano because they will decide where the boss moves around the island and what sort of havoc will occur, I suppose.
Yeah, what kind of fires you're going to have to recognize. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we have to put that out. That's a problem for us.
Right. And then the boss will move. They'll potentially activate their minions depending on which zone they walk into, and then you'll resolve the boss dice. And all of these things are going to do things such as attacking any monsters that are in the same zone, or sometimes they'll build crystals. And if you have 3 crystals in one zone of the island, that builds a pylon. And there are 3 pylons that they need to build in order for the boss to win. Then once the boss's phase is done, you have the player's turn phase, which operates very similarly to King of Tokyo. You're going to roll the dice that also look like the dice from King of Tokyo, but have some different faces. You'll roll them up to 3 times, and depending on which die faces you keep, you get to resolve them. And hopefully you'll be able to deal enough damage to the boss in order for you to fully defeat them by bringing their health to 0.
Yes, because if the way you lose the game is either the boss constructs all 3 of the pylons, the minion bag runs out, or if one of the heroes gets defeated.
Right. And so, just like in King of Tokyo, there are also cards that you can acquire that help you do certain things, and there are also allies that you can utilize. But that is pretty much the whole concept of the game. And like I said, there are 3 different bosses to play against, and they have different levels of difficulty. So if you enjoy this sort of gameplay, there is a lot of replayability here. But what are your thoughts, Naveen?
I have mixed feelings about this one. King of Tokyo in general is a game that I do enjoy. It is one that I definitely don't gravitate towards anymore over the past couple of years. I do like co-op games, so that's kind of a plus for me on this particular one. What I do like about this game is, we didn't mention this earlier, but the boss can actually level up over the course of the game. So you know how like, the players can purchase upgrades with those cards? The boss also has a mechanism that gets them stronger and stronger as the game progresses. So you're constantly trying to figure out a way to kind of keep them under control so you can actually do the damage that you need to do. But also the procedural aspect of kind of the aspect of, okay, the boss is going to do this. They're going to move, and then you're going to check how many dice, and then what does the minion do, and now you're going to resolve their attack and stuff like that. So after turn after turn after turn, it felt a little exhausting doing that over and over again.
Right.
But I still enjoyed the puzzle of trying to keep this monster at bay.
Yeah, I completely understand what you mean about the procedural aspect. You know, this game is definitely a bump up or 2 in complexity as compared to King of Tokyo. And the thing that I enjoyed about King of Tokyo is the fact that it's very simple, and it's just a battle battling game. Like you do your dice, you buy stuff, and then the next player goes, and it just kind of goes around and around like this, and it's very silly. This one is a little bit more serious. You are working together, and you're trying to be more strategic in terms of your turns. But like Naveen was mentioning, the boss's turn is this procedure that you're constantly like, okay, where does the boss move to? How many dice are in that zone? It's just not as simple as King of Tokyo, which, I enjoyed that world for its simplicity. So it sort of goes in the opposite direction. And for that reason, this one is probably not for me. I do enjoy co-op games as well. And just, your brain juices going in terms of, well, if you can handle that, then I'll handle this, and trying to fight off the fires. And for that reason, it's probably pretty good for families.
I think so, yeah.
Now, we've only played it just the two of us, so we can't really confirm that. But the fact that you can sort of work together instead of against each other, especially in families with kids, where it can be kind of difficult to accept defeat.
Getting attacked by one of your siblings, yeah.
Yeah, so with this, game, you can work together, and the complexity can be handled by the older people around the table.
Yeah, the box says 10 plus. I could see this being fine for 8 and up.
Yeah.
I think they just have to put a number on the box.
It really depends, right, on the person. So anyway, that's it. If you enjoy this sort of gameplay, like I said, there is a lot to explore in the box, but it does increase complexity, and it is a very different game from King of Tokyo. But there you go. That is King of Monster Island.
Okay, the next game we want to talk about, this is one that we first learned at Dice Tower West earlier this year. It is coming to us from Pandasaurus Games, and it is called Faraway.
Yeah.
Now, in Faraway, this is a quick playing 20 to 25-minute game where you are basically going to be drafting different cards, playing cards into a tableau so you can set up your end game scoring. But there's kind of a twist with this one, where the cards you play early on are what you're going to score late, and the cards you play late are what you're going to potentially score early on.
Right. Thematically, you're exploring a faraway fictional continent, and so that is why it is called Faraway. But it's technically a drafting tableau building game where the game is played over the course of 8 rounds, and each round you're playing one card to your tableau, but you're playing them basically left to right because like Naveen was mentioning, you don't actually resolve your cards until the very end of the game. Cards will have a number on them at the top left-hand corner. They'll also have potentially a scoring criteria at the bottom right-hand corner if you are able to turn in a certain combination of resource prerequisites. And some cards will give you those resources that you'll need in order to score the other cards. I believe the lower the value of the card, the more resources it gives you, and the higher the value, the more of the scoring criteria. And the reason why is because when you play a card, if the value of the card you played is higher than the value of the card right before it, then you also get to draw these additional cards, which I believe are called sanctuaries. And these will do things such as giving you additional scoring criteria as well and resources. But the difference between these cards and the ones that you play in front of you is there is no time limit. At the end of the game, you'll gain those resources pretty much immediately.
Right away, yeah.
And you can use those resources in order to score some of the stuff on your actual tableau. At the end of each round, players will draft a new card into their hand from the display, but you'll draft them in numerical order, starting with the player who played the lowest valued card.
Lowest value, yep.
So it does benefit you to play a lower valued card when the time is right.
But going back to kind of how you taught earlier, if you play a lower card than the next value before that you played, then you're not going to get that token that you're talking about. That
the
gives
sanctuary
you the sanctuary
cards.
So there's kind of this like delicate balance of like, I see that Monique has a 40 out there. Is she going to play a card that's 41? So can I risk it and play a lesser card here? But then you're also trying to set up your endgame scoring. So there's a lot of different little factors to kind of consider when you're just making that simple decision as to which card you're going to be playing.
Right. And then once all 8 rounds are done, everybody goes into final scoring. You technically, you can flip all of your cards face down and then flip them up every time you score them, but you'll basically go from the last card played. Flip it over, it'll give you resources or maybe your scoring criteria. But whenever you get to a card that requires you to spend resources in order to score it, if you don't have the resources by then, you can't score it. So it's almost a bit of programming because you're trying to make sure that you're able to score your scoring criteria by the time you get to the card.
But you're making the decision in reverse order, right? So the first card you ever play down, you have 7 more rounds to try to make that a truth, to make that happen.
Right.
But as you get to maybe round 5 or 6, now you only have 2 more rounds to get what you played in round 6
Yeah, right,
to
right,
actually
right.
score. So it becomes like a crunch of like, do I just want to get a lot of points like in the first 3 rounds that
Yeah.
I played out, or can I actually make something work out where I can just perfectly get everything in synergies? But of course, there's that draft aspect of it. So if you're playing high value cards, you get last dibs. So then you're not really going to get the cards that you so desire that are in the public display. So I actually really enjoyed this game. Getting my head around it, it took me about a couple rounds.
Yeah, I think we played the max play count
We
this
played,
game.
I think, 5.
It plays 2 to 6. Okay, I think we played it at 5. And it definitely, it was tough for a few of the people around the table to grasp the idea of you're playing it to resolve in reverse order.
Yes.
It took the entire game and then the scoring portion for them to realize like, I see.
Yeah.
You resolve it in reverse order. So for a game like this, it is very simple. But it's really neat. I haven't played a game that has required me to think this way or plan this way yet.
In
right?
a 20-minute package.
In a 20-minute package.
Yeah.
And it plays well at higher player counts.
Oh, yeah.
I think there is a board game arena implementation of it that people were really, really fond of. So that is something you may want to consider if you'd like to try it. But I definitely enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I think we're going to be keeping this one for a while. That is Faraway.
All right, next up we have a Reiner Knizia game in a small box. This is called Longboard. It comes to
yes.
us from 25th Century, and like I said, it is designed by Reiner Knizia. This is a card game where players are building surfboards, surf-themed game, I
longboards, yeah.
suppose. And it is sort of similar to games such as Lost Cities. I guess Reiner Knizia has a few titles that are very like card-driven, where you're trying to build a tableau of numerical cards.
Card math dependent games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not nearly as punishing. In this game, you basically have to take 2 actions on your turn, and there are 3 options for actions that you can take. At the start of the game, each player will have a display of sorts, a supply of 2 surfboard cards in their supply. And basically, in order to build a surfboard, you have to play a card from your supply into your play area.
The face-up supply.
A face-up supply, yeah. Starting a surfboard. These surfboards are going to be numbered. They're also colored, and they have stickers on them because at the end of the game, the stickers are the points that you'll be scoring for them. Now, the thing is, whenever you add to a surfboard, the cards have to be the same color and of equal or higher value than the card that's already there. There are also wild cards that you can play, but basically, you're trying to get your surfboard to at least a height of 4 cards. Because once you hit 4 cards, then your board is considered to be shaped. You put a beach card underneath it, and it basically just represents the fact that this surfboard will be scoring you positive points at the end of the game.
You are safe from any penalties.
Yes.
You are able to score this. This is now, you can still add to it
Yeah.
beyond 4 cards, which would be great because you can score more points.
Right.
But at least now you have something locked in.
And the points, again, are just how many stickers are on all the cards in that surfboard. Now, if at the end of the game, your surfboard only has 2 or 3 cards, you'll lose 1 point instead of scoring positive points. And if you started a surfboard with 1 card and never added to it, it's minus 2 points. Now, as for the other 2 actions that you can take on your turn, you can simply choose to add to your supply by drawing a card from the top of the deck and adding it to your supply.
Revealing it face
Or you can take from another player's supply by trading. So you basically take 1 card from them, and in return, you give them 1 or more cards that are at least a higher value than the card that you're taking.
Yeah, so if Monique is going to take my 4, she has to give me a total value of 5 or greater
Right.
in order for that trade to happen. I cannot deny this trade. I must allow it to go.
Yeah.
But what the benefit is Monique gets to bypass that whole step of having the card go to her supply, and then from supply to build the longboard, she can instantly use it to build her longboard.
Yes, it instantly goes into my longboard area. And that's essentially it. You basically continue playing like this with everybody taking 2 turns each until the end game trigger has been met, which is going to be a certain number of surfboards and a certain height depending on player count. And then at the end of the game, you score off everybody's points, including 4 public objective cards that'll be in play.
Yeah, everybody
And-
knows what these are ahead of time. So as you're kind of stealing and trading with other people, you're like, oh, having the most wilds is something. So maybe I'm going to want to take that away from you because I want to avoid you getting those points at the end of the game.
What are your thoughts on Longboard?
Yeah, I liked it. It was light, simple. Is it a long-term, one that's going to be on the shelf? Probably not. But it's definitely one that I could easily put in the bag and simply kind of teach at a con when it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're sitting around and you're like, I know how to play this. We can get into it real quick while we figure out what the next game is. So I like games that kind of fit right into that little window.
I thought it was just okay. I like Reiner Knizia
Yeah.
games, especially card games for their crunchiness. Like I love Lost Cities, and it does sort of remind me of like a more casual version of Lost Cities.
I wish it was a
but-
little bit more punishing like Lost Cities can be.
Because that's what makes it crunchy.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that I want my opponent to suffer or myself to risk, scoring so many negative points, such as in Lost Cities. It's just the fact that those rules are in place to make you think harder about your turn, I guess. And that's what I really like about Reiner Knizia games. This one is a lot more casual than I think I would have liked. And I just felt like, there's some luck. Some of the decisions are not as meaningful. And the theme also didn't really grab me too much. So for me, I just thought it was okay.
That's fair.
But that's about it. Like Naveen was mentioning, this is a very casual, simple game. So people who enjoy that sort of carefree, maybe that sort of weight, will probably enjoy this one. And that is Longboard. All right, and the last game that we're going to be talking about today is a solo game. It is the smallest one, because like we said, we're doing this in size order, and it is called Paper App Dungeon. So Naveen has not played this.
I
This
don't
is
know
just
anything, so
me,
you will be talking about this.
sharing my thoughts on it. This is a dungeon crawler that's in like a notebook situation here. It's a very, very small package. And so it's a very interesting concept, actually. The way that the game works is it comes with this pencil. And the pencil is your writing utensil, but it is also the die that you're going to be using in order to move around this dungeon. Now, all of these notebooks, any notebook that you come across, is going to be completely different from all others that are on sale. Because
Also, if we bought 2 of them, they would not be the same.
they would not be the same in
Got it.
terms of the map layouts, because I think there's some sort of way that the computer
Generated it.
generates each map.
I got you.
And basically, it's a notebook that consists of 42 different dungeon-style maps, and you're basically just trying to score the most amount of money while decreasing the amount of times you die.
Okay.
There is a smiley face on each dungeon that shows where you start. And basically, each round, you're going to roll the pencil. It's going to tell you how many spaces you're going to move and in what direction. Even numbers require you to move in an orthogonal direction, and
Okay.
you have to continuously move in that one direction until you hit a wall. And only in that case do you get to change direction. And odd numbers require you to move diagonally.
And I know you're probably going to ask already. This goes from 1 to 6. So if you grind this down to a nub and you cannot see the numbers anymore, you can just take a 6-sided die and roll it.
Yes, it's not the end of
Yeah.
the world. And basically on the dungeon floor, you're going to see a lot of different symbols that you'll come across. Some of them will require you to lose HP. Of course, you'll gain coins because that's the whole point of the game. You want to get as much money as you can. You'll come across treasure chests. You may even come across shops in the book, depending on how far you go. And that's about it. Each page is played the same, and it's a nice little light activity that you can do. I feel like this is more of like a travel companion, or people who just enjoy
Yeah, it looks
an
like it,
activity
right?
on the bus or like at the airport, because it's very, very casual. In fact, for me specifically, the way that I enjoy solo games, it might be a little too casual, to be honest, because there's no real like benchmark to know how well you're doing. It's more of just like a casual activity. Like, just go explore this dungeon and try to get as much money as you can.
I got you.
Like,
So,
that's the premise of it.
So like if you're at a Starbucks waiting for somebody who's notoriously 10 minutes late,
Yeah.
this is the thing that you want in your bag.
Yes. So
Okay.
you play a few rounds, see how far you can go without dying. But like I said, there is no benchmark of like, oh, if you get through the entire book, with losing, less than X amount of health, then you score this high. I don't really know how well I'm doing.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Okay, that's fair.
But other than that, I really don't think it's trying to be anything else than what it already is. A game like this is a very small package, small price point, and it has a very specific target audience. And so I just wanted to kind of show it to you because I thought it was really neat. That is Paper App Dungeon.
Well, there you have it. Those are some of the games that we have been playing recently. If you've played any of these games, please let us know your thoughts on them in the comments down below. If you have any questions about any of the games we talked about, also leave those in the comments and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you all so much for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, please consider subscribing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.